Give us for that one. This is the Paul Harrell program. We got a great show for you. We're going to talk a little bit about how thanks to the Grassley, Senator Chuck Grassley releasing this report, we now know more detail about the investigation back in 2016 against Hillary Clinton and, how she bleached bit her server, wiped her server. We didn't actually get to that yesterday, so we're going to get to it now. FBI basically handling her with kid gloves. Again, we all assumed that was the case, but now we have proof. The Paul Harrell program starts right now.
The Paul Harrell program.
All right, folks, welcome. As always, I'm joined by my guest host. We've got Mr. Rob Spencer with us. Rob, welcome back, sir.
Paul, I am always honored to be here, especially when, Loretta Lynch is coming back into play here. I mean, I thought that this was I thought this was a grave that we weren't going to dig up anymore.
Yeah.
And essentially what we're dealing with is fallout from what we realized during Trump's first term. What we saw was a coordinated takedown of a sitting president of the United States. And so somebody can say, well, you're all up in arms about this, and you're just like, oh, it's no big deal. Who cares? This was almost 10 years ago. Okay, an outgoing president made a coordinated effort to take down a sitting president and totally put a shadow over the first at least 3 years until the Mueller report came out for the first 3 years of his presidency. And so, no, we're not going to move on from this, just the same way as we're not moving on from the Epstein thing.
No, you're exactly right. We can't afford to do it. We can't move on from both of those things. Both of those things are not going to go anywhere. The interesting thing about it is how the Democrats are now, in response to Donald Trump, and we're going to get to these comments, essentially saying Obama committed treason. He said in the Oval Office that Obama is guilty
treason
and committed treason. So in response to that, you have the left-wing media is now trying to make something of the Epstein thing and what happened over the last 14 days. Of course, Pam Bondi's trying to get the grand jury testimony unsealed and everything else. But that's going to be interesting to see the juxtaposition there moving forward. But I will say this: I think if you go back and you look at Trump's post, is the post that we were so upset about last week. If he knew this was coming, if he knew that his DOJ was about to drop the hammer on the deep state and was about to potentially start these indictments. Again, won't hold my breath. But if he knew that was happening, if people within the administration knew that's happening, it kind of could explain how the Axios memo gets leaked to totally change it. And that also explains his post about, why are we talking about this? Because he was thinking, we're finally about to... He had to have seen these documents Tulsi Gabbard released weeks ago.
Right, because this started happening, and, I guess Jeffrey Epstein, of course, this has been 20 years where we've heard about Jeffrey Epstein, but essentially this started coming into play in 2013?
Yeah.
Roughly like that, and he was finally arrested in 2019, somewhere around there, 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
So what you had here is, Trump saying, oh, who created these files? This was Obama. And it didn't make a lot of sense to us at that time. Everybody's like, oh, he's playing 5D chess and all of that stuff. But maybe he really was sort of planting the seed of, hey, these are these evil actors here, and we're about to show you how evil they are.
Yeah.
And so don't listen to this crap about Epstein, because these are the people that started this hoax, and I'm about to tell you something else that they did.
Yeah, I mean, and it's, we still have tons of questions about Epstein, and I would say, there's still got a lot of answers. Tucker Carlson's podcast on Epstein was incredible, and so there is clearly a problem there, and it has to be addressed. There's no question about it. But I will say this, there is why I have seen several people bring up this point, Rob. They've said, okay, so wait, we have all the documents of Obama incriminating himself, but the Democrats altered the Epstein files. So why the question would be, why are these files now still there? And I think one of the answers is, I'm not saying this is the truth, but I think one of the answers is the Mar-a-Lago raid. Trump had these documents, is what some people allege. And that was the purpose of the Mar-a-Lago raid. Like, he took with him the evidence that Crossfire Hurricane was a coup against him. And so that may be why they're preserved.
I have a hard time believing that aspect of it, just for the simple fact that, if Trump is sitting on this bomb, right? He's sitting on this bomb. Why would he not have used that and say, hey, don't put the Democrats back in charge. I know Joe Biden is running against me, this feeble old man. Don't put the Democrats back in charge, because the last time that they did, look what they did.
Yeah.
Last time they were in charge. So I think that maybe they give him a little bit too much credit for that. I truly feel like the Mar-a-Lago raid was simply a photo op. It was FBI agents going in there, and they put those top secret classified, they put that cover sheet on all of those documents to make it look so much more nefarious than what it actually is, what actually was. And they're going through Melania's underwear drawer, right? And all of these things to embarrass him and to humiliate him. And look at this, folks, because they thought that the American people were too stupid to realize exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
That's what I will always believe. I don't believe that it was a fact-finding mission in the least. I don't think that's what it was. It was simply a photo op, and that's why they did it. I don't think that he had some sort of secret, because you and I have been following Trump long enough to know that if Trump has got something, he's probably going to use it, especially when he is being attacked from all angles.
Well, I think we could agree at a bare minimum it was another frame job, which is
Sure.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's a photo op where they had the cover sheets and everything else.
Ridiculous.
It's unbelievable. So let's talk about Hillary. Let's talk about Hillary Clinton. By the way, a little programming note. Tomorrow on the show, Rob, we're going to have a guest in the third seat, and we're going to be talking to the mayor of Fairfield Bay, Arkansas.
I'm looking forward to this.
His name is Seth Connell, and he's going to sit in. He's going to go over the news with us. He is, I think, like 25 years old. I think he is
and he's the mayor?
youngest mayor,
Yeah.
probably one of the youngest mayors in America.
That's really cool.
So, have you ever seen Parks and Rec?
I have, yes.
So there's that one character played by Adam Scott, and his character was elected mayor at 18 and was then impeached 2 months later because he spent all the town's money on an ice park.
I didn't catch that episode.
Yeah. Oh, it was kind of like a reoccurring theme. Like they always
Yeah.
bring it up, and it like haunts him because he can't go
Yeah.
back to his hometown because they all hate him because
Right.
he bankrupted the town, building some sort of ice park or whatever. Anyway, when I was scheduling Seth to come on the program, I reminded him of it
Yeah.
because I'm like, come on, you're 25 years. You have to have heard this story, and if you
Sure.
haven't, you got to know.
So Seth is not this kind of guy, is what you're saying.
No,
Like,
yeah,
he's
no,
he's
not at all,
this
not at
town.
all. He's actually doing great,
Yeah.
and I'm thrilled to have him. He's actually super intelligent, and I'm excited to have him on the show.
I read
tomorrow.
an article. So I guess he has a website. He maintains a website. That may not be something we want to talk about, but at the same time, I read some of his sort of views on things, and I think if he were mayor of the town that we live in, I would. If he was running for mayor, I would absolutely
vote for him. Yeah.
Don't care that he's 25.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so here it is, New York Post. FBI failed to probe key thumb drives in Clinton email probe, DOJ watchdog files. So the FBI barely glanced at potentially crucial evidence in its investigation of Hillary Clinton's use of the private email server. This is something we all knew, but now we have more evidence of this. The confidential source gave thumb drives to the FBI that contains State Department data acquired via cyber intrusions, including emails from President Barack Obama and others, according to a declassified appendix to a June 18th Justice Department Inspector General report. The feds declined to comprehensively analyze those drives due to concerns about individual data caught in the hack, despite an internal draft memo concluding it was necessary to assess the national security risks pertaining to Clinton's private use server. This document shows an extreme lack of effort and due diligence in the FBI's investigation of former Secretary Clinton's email usage and mishandling of highly classified information, the Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley said of the appendix. There's a lot of stuff in this appendix. We have this data here. Let me zoom in a little bit here. So Somebody on X, no wonder we haven't seen the Renteria memo. It absolutely wrecks Obama. So this is part of, you see it, this authorized for public release by Chairman Chuck Grassley. Here's some of the snippets of it. So there are some redactions. So in the blank, brought to the attention of the FBI Cyber Division 2 Russian language documents that mentioned Attorney General Loretta Lynch. These documents were identified in the Post-8 data and were translated into English by an FBI linguist. Both documents appeared to be redacted. Reports discussing purported communications between Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who was at the time the chairwoman of the Democratic National Committee, and two different individuals who worked for Open Society Foundations, a family of offices and foundations created by George Soros. It's everything.
Like,
it's everything
we're getting the gang back together on this one.
The FBI later determined that they would have likely obtained the communications underlying the two reports if such communications in fact existed through a cyber intrusion into the Atlantic Council, a private think tank. All these organizations that are essentially funded by USAID, by the way, as well.
Yeah.
The first redacted report is redacted, and the verbatim translation states in the relevant part, recent information appearing in the media about the FBI investigating possible facts of corruption connected with the State Department under Clinton and the granting of preferences to Clinton fund donors created a negative reaction within the party, though this information was known to Democratic Party leaders since June 2015. According to Wasserman Schultz, so far, since the FBI does not have any hard evidence against Hillary Clinton because data was removed from the mail servers just in time. Obama is not in the mood to mar the very final segment of his presidency, his legacy with a scandal around a leading nominee for the Democratic Party. To deal with this, he is using Attorney General Loretta Lynch to mount a pressure on the FBI Director James Comey. Alas, so far, no concrete results. So what's funny is, if I'm reading this right, this was originally in Russian, and it was translated?
It's translated, yes. And what you're talking about, what this reads like is a clown car, where all of the clowns just keep popping out of this thing. When you got Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Loretta Lynch, Obama, Hillary Clinton, all of these people just James Comey, they just keep piling out of this clown car. And when are we going to stop as America, as Americans, and we're going to sit here and say, okay, we got half the country slinging mud at Donald Trump the whole entire time, and you don't have to like his tweets, you don't have to like what he says, you don't have to like his policies, but he is not tied to the corruption or the level of corruption that this clown car is 100% tied to.
I mean, you're exactly right. And it goes on by way of forming a consensus relative to the candidacy of Hillary Clinton. Barack Obama, leading the Democratic Party, sanctioned use of all administrative levers to remove possibly negative effects of the FBI investigation of the business of the Clinton Foundation and the email correspondence of the State Department. Based upon information from Wasserman Schultz, the FBI does not anticipate any kind of direct evidence against Clinton, and there was timely deletion from the email servers. The political director of the Hillary Clinton staff, Amanda Renteria, regularly receives information from Loretta Lynch of the Department of Justice on the plans and intentions of the FBI. Active work is being done on clarification, mostly with potential witnesses. The primary witnesses are a number of computer specialists in the Clinton private circle. They represent the only tools which may be used in this matter. Therefore, the threat is minimal. I don't know if you remember this, but as I read this, I thought, do you remember not just her using BleachBit, the software that destroyed the servers? And she was asked about it. She said, what, like with a cloth? She also reportedly had her staffers smash their cell phones with hammers.
Hammers, yeah. I have never, ever heard of an innocent person destroying cell phones after they receive a subpoena. Can you tell me... Okay, hey, Democrats, I'm going to look right at the camera. Democrats, Give me a scenario where any person receives a subpoena about all of their technology and they destroy it, and you think that they're innocent. Give me a scenario because I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, and I don't think you think Hillary Clinton's innocent. Where you got? Give me a scenario. Any scenario. Put it in the comments.
It's really wild, honestly. I mean, we've entered this territory. Really, if you look at the last 3 elections, there's so much alleged criminal activity on both sides, right? You've got the left that's like Trump is a criminal, right?
Yeah.
But we had, in the previous election, you looked at Joe Biden, you looked at Hunter, you looked at all of his, criminal activity. You go back even further, and then it's like lock her up. Hillary Clinton is a criminal. She belongs in jail. It's just fascinating. What it looks like to me is somebody who is obviously tempted to be more partisan. Is that the Democrats have essentially been caught dead to rights, and so the only thing to do is to make everybody look corrupt, just to lie about everybody.
Yeah, you just sling mud on everyone, and that way we're all muddy.
Because you can make the argument that Hillary Clinton lost. She was a terrible, terrible candidate and a very unlikable woman.
Sure.
She just was powerful.
Yeah. And she was eloquent in the way she would talk.
Yeah,
she said the right things.
Yeah, but you can make the argument that she lost because people knew about her email server, and they're like, this lady's nuts, right? And so then they get in there, and it's like, oh, well, they must have cheated. They must be the criminals. Now, I'm not the criminal. Mm-hmm. I wasn't rejected by the American people. It must have been Russia.
Yeah.
I mean, so
it's that Spider-Man meme, where there's 3 Spider-Mans and they're all pointing at each other. You've seen that one, right?
Yes.
That's exactly what it is. And what you have here is we can go through Benghazi. We can go through the private email server. We can go through destroying evidence after you received a court subpoena. You can go through all of those things. But does any rational person in the United States believe that the Clintons aren't corrupt? That the Clinton Foundation is not a money laundering scheme? Mm-hmm. Does anybody believe that?
Yep.
Because if you do, I've got some, what's the expression, oceanfront property in Arizona to sell you. I've got a bridge in whatever. You get what I'm trying to say. You're gullible, okay, if you're believing all of this stuff. And what they've said, like the Trump cult over the last week or so, the Trump cult. If we were in a cult, we wouldn't be railing against Trump. In all of this stuff with Epstein, we wouldn't be bouncing, coming out and saying all of this stuff. Where's a Democrat come out so strongly against another Democrat that we're like, wow, there actually is some division within the Democratic Party? No, they rally behind her. No one to this day, they might say, well, Hillary Clinton wasn't the right candidate at the time. That's about as strong as you're going to get. You're not going to say that 47 people, or however many it's been, who are close associates of Hillary Clinton have spoken out against her or had allegedly had evidence against her and have ended up dead. They all commit suicide. Maybe Hillary needs to pass out some antidepressants around her.
They commit suicide and they get some carpet fiber, and they sprinkle it on them, and then they die.
Yeah, it's amazing. It is amazing. It's sad. It's tragic. Honestly, we're making light of it, but at the same time, like, what are the worst?
Yeah, you're exactly right.
People are dead. People are dead, and you know what? Hopefully the Clintons don't see this, because I might end up. Hey, I am not suicidal.
Yeah, we're not suicidal.
Please, if you see that, it wasn't me.
Well, here we go. You think of those memes. The reason they're going after me is because I'm standing in the way. Remember those memes?
Yeah.
This is kind of, this could be a culmination. This could be a culmination of a lot of things of the last 10 years. Donald Trump. We've got 2 clips from him in the Oval Office earlier today. Watch.
Okay.
Submitted a criminal referral to the Department of Justice. From your perspective, who should the DOJ target as part of their investigation? What specific figures in the Obama administration?
Well, based on what I read, and I read pretty much what you read, it would be President Obama. He started it. And Biden was there with him, and Comey was there, and Clapper. The whole group was there. Brennan, they were all there in a room. Right here, this was the room. This is much more beautiful than it was then, but that's okay. I have nice pictures up that came out of the vaults. Yeah. They were in there for 100 years. This is much more beautiful. We have the Declaration of Independence now in the room, which wasn't here. I guess people didn't feel too good about putting it here, but I do. But you know what? If you look at those papers, they have them stone cold, and it was President Obama. It wasn't lots of people all over the place. It was them too. But the leader of the gang was President Obama, Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? And except for the fact that he gets shielded by the press for his entire life, that's the one they look. He's guilty. It's not a question. You know, I like to say, let's give it time. It's there. He's guilty. This was treason. This was every word you can think of. They tried to steal the election. They tried to obfuscate the election. They did things that nobody's ever even imagined, even in other countries. You've seen some pretty rough countries. This man has seen some pretty rough countries, but you've never seen anything like it.
So that's clip one. You got any reaction to that yet? Obama guilty, treason.
Yeah. So what he's referencing there is that he always says, "We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens." That's what he's referencing that, and he's saying, "I'm not saying that this time. I normally say that. I'm not saying that this time. The evidence is there. They need to be arrested." And it starts at the top. He's talking about Obama. Then it goes down from there with Brennan and Clapper and all of these dirty players, I guess, essentially treasonous dirty players. Because when everyone's like, "Oh, that's an overreaction. Treason, it's an overreaction." If an outgoing United States president creating a false intel report or ordering a false intel report to be created to undermine and possibly use as a source of impeachment, which they did, right? Well, they didn't use that as the first source of impeachment. There was just an investigation, but they screamed impeachment for years and years, right? But if you're trying to say that an outgoing president having an intel report that's false and knowingly false used to undermine the incoming president, if that's not treason, then eliminate the word treason.
It's certainly not the peaceful transfer of power that you always hear about, and it also has other implications. I mean, I don't think I might have the montage pulled up. I know I have the Obama clip, but like there are now montages of these of all of these Democrat officials talking about how Russia hacked the election.
Yep.
Russia hacked it's a media report. Russia hacked the media.
Yeah.
What does that do? We're talking about a nuclear power here, right? Like we accused Russia of electing Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That for a diplomatic relations, for as scary as we're told they need to be, that's a pretty bold thing to do, right? What could possibly lead to war? You can make the argument, as we did yesterday, it contributed to 1 million dead Russians in Ukraine. They were so committed to this narrative. Yeah. They sent hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian young men to die. Yeah. Think about that.
Yeah. So they even said, there were so many, the montage of media reports is what I saw. I saw the same thing that you saw. And, I'm going to defend the media in one slight respect here. They received their marching orders. They were given this directive, like, hey, look, this is the head of the CIA, the FBI, all of the national intelligence, all this stuff. Every bit of it, the heads of these have said that Russia interfered on Trump's behalf. They hacked our election. That's the word they kept using, hacked. They hacked our election. And so the media gets this, and literally every intelligence community, the entire intelligence community is saying it. As a media member, it would be hard for me to not report that.
Yeah, and we talked about this last time. This was back when people still had a confidence,
a little bit of trust.
Yeah, a little bit of trust in the intel.
And so what you saw were all of these media reports where they were saying, it's obvious, this is what happened, this is what happened, this is what happened. And then there was a 2.5-year investigation of whether or not Trump was a Russian Russian asset. Thank you. And I said accent, but a Russian with the accent there. But it's just ridiculous to think that one of the most patriotic presidents that we've ever had in our history, at least in my lifetime, as I mentioned yesterday, that he's a Russian asset. It's absolutely asinine.
Hey, well, and it goes into just a psyop against the American people as well. To your point, the idea of they're going to get to decide what's American, and all of these Americans were duped and actually voted for Russia. They have so much contempt for losing. They can't stand to lose. They lost, and they can't stand it.
They envision themselves as the puppeteers, and for so long they were. And that's what's pissing them off so bad right now.
Populism.
Because they're not sitting here as the marionettes here, like controlling us anymore, and they're so frustrated about it. Now, I will say that in 2020, with the pandemic, they took some power back. Yes. But what have they done? If right now they said a mass pandemic and we need to stay home and that we need to wear a mask, would any of us do it?
No, I don't think so. I think so many people
there would be a certain faction of it that would absolutely do it.
People are still wearing masks today.
I saw one today. at Walmart.
And we live in the Shire. We live in Arkansas, and it still happens.
So anyway, that's what we're looking at here, and somebody wants to say, what are you so frustrated about? I'm frustrated at the first 2.5 years of Trump's presidency that was hijacked, and then after that, the Ukraine call, where they impeached him.
They spied on his call, the intel, and then they leaked the call.
That's right. And all of that stuff. Then we get to the pandemic, right? With all of this stuff, and then we get January 6th. His entire first term was hijacked, and it was all lies.
They never stopped. And so to my point yesterday, is Trump going to get the intel communities under control?
Yeah.
You're not going to do it unless you actually punish the people that have clearly broken the law. You've got them dead to rights. You're not going to get a hold of the bad actors that may still be in there. You're certainly not going to get a hold of them until you make an example out of their mentors.
Some heads have got to roll.
Yeah.
For the as the expression goes, somebody has got to go down for this. Now, whether it's Obama, it's really hard for me to envision Barack Obama in handcuffs.
I know.
It's really hard for that. But at the same time, can somebody go down for this?
Yeah.
Right? And I don't know. I don't know who it's gonna be, but I know that it has to be someone. And it made me think about something. I saw just the other day. That it just said, well, when you have insurrectionists who were, all of these insurrectionists on January 6th and all of this stuff, and they kept saying insurrectionist. And I just said, how are you able to say this on the news? How are you able to say this? Because of all of the hundreds of people that were arrested, including Donald Trump, do you know how many people were charged with insurrection? Zero. Not a single solitary person. Yeah. And so when Trump rails against the media, when he's calling it fake news, that's what he's talking about. That is what he's talking about. And what you had was a president who committed treason. You can't convince me otherwise. Somebody needs to be arrested.
So here's clip number 2 that we have. This is more of Trump talking now about Hillary Clinton.
The witch hunt that you should be talking about is they caught President Obama absolutely cold. Tulsi Gabbard, what they did to this country in 2016, starting in 2016, but going up to 2020 in the election. They tried to rig the election, and they got caught. And there should be very severe consequences for that. When we caught Hillary Clinton, I said, you know what? Let's not go too far here. It's the ex-wife of a president, and I thought it was sort of terrible.
Wife of an ex-president.
Let her off the hook. And I'm very happy I did. But it's time to start, after what they did to me, and whether it's right or wrong, it's time to go after people.
Second term,
Obama's
folks, he's over
been
it.
Caught directly.
Yeah.
So people say, a group. It's not a group. It's Obama. His orders are on the paper. The papers are signed. The papers came right out of their office. They sent everything to be highly classified. Well, the highly classified's been released. And what they did in 2016 and in 2020 is very criminal. It's criminal at the highest level. So that's really the things you should be talking.
He says, right or wrong, it's time to go after people.
Yeah. I would love to have a conversation with a far left person who Trump can do no right whatsoever. And I would say, with this irrefutable evidence, would you agree that Barack Obama tried to submarine Trump's first term.
That's a good point.
Okay.
They may say, yeah, and it was the right thing to do.
It was the right thing to do.
Because he's Orange
'Cause
Man
he's Hitler. Yeah. Yeah, when they throw that term around, you know, when you try to say that this person is evil, then all bets are off, right? Like no one would have questioned, efforts to overthrow Hitler. If Hitler did today what he did back then, where everything kind of comes to light, a lot of the stuff that he did were, directly to the Jews, and those who could tell the tale were dead. Or the ones that survived it were telling everything was word of mouth and all of this stuff. And I've not seen newspaper clippings from around the world at that time were they speaking to the atrocities of Hitler at the time. But I can tell you this, if it happened today, it would be a lot more publicized what he was actually doing. And he couldn't get away with it. And no one would befall someone or they would look down upon someone who was trying to overthrow him.
Well, I mean,
at that time.
that's one of the arguments. Like I do believe that there was a coordinated effort to interfere in the 2016 or 2020 election because they got eyes.
Yeah.
COVID alone was that, but on election night or whatever, and I think there was coordination. But in a lot of this stuff, you don't have to have coordination for that very reason.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have some order that tells some local precinct person to stuff a ballot box or whatever they would do, because if you've now disseminated through your media outlets that this guy is a fascist dictator, then cheating is now the right thing to do.
Yeah,
and so
100%. Because if you have equated him to a man who killed millions of Jews, whether you agree on the numbers, the official numbers or not, regardless, he killed millions of Jews. If you equate him to that man, everything you do is justified.
Yeah.
Anything you do is justified.
Right. But back to your original point about, you'd like to have this conversation with somebody who's
Sure.
like a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat. The other answer that I think they would give is they don't believe Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh yeah,
Even though she used to be one of them. But so we're to the point now, and this is really where I'm at. Like, we're to the point now where I think one of the reactions would be, she's lying.
Mm-hmm.
Obama's great. She's lying. She's made up the intelligence. Then we got the other side saying, well, they've made up the intelligence on this, or they've made up the intelligence. Like, so we're to the point where both sides of the country think they have the moral high ground. So you know what that means? There's going to be a winner and there's going to be a loser at this point.
Yeah.
With stuff like this, there is not going to be some middle ground. You can't arrest Barack Obama and claim this is the middle ground. It's going to tear the country apart if this happens. However, the country's already been torn apart.
Yeah.
You just went through it. 2016, 2020, COVID, January 6th, Fedsurrection, 51 intelligence agencies. I mean, it's exhausting what this country's been through in the last 10 years, and it's all been because the intel oligarchs don't want to accept the will of the American people. They don't want to change. Mm-hmm. They don't want Trump to be president of the United States. That much is clear. It was certainly clear in Butler, Pennsylvania, which we still don't have answers to that as well.
Well, and it goes back to when we talked about the irregularities in the 2020 election as the exact same thing that you're talking about. If you equate him, going back to what I said, if we equate him with Hitler, then everything that you do is justified. So why wouldn't you stuff some ballot boxes?
Exactly.
Right? Why wouldn't you create an intel report that says that he's a Russian asset? Why wouldn't you do that stuff? This man is evil, right? All of it becomes justified. So then that side looks at it and says, oh, well, you're just trying to vindicate Trump at this point. But I would ask them that question. Have you ever looked at Trump and said, he is the same as Hitler? Because you are not an objective person if you've ever done that.
100%. Yeah.
Okay. So we can't take your opinion on this at all.
Right.
Right. So we're gonna go with Tulsi Gabbard, who actually released evidence, because never saw Barack Obama release any actual evidence.
Yeah, exactly. We covered that yesterday. He was talking about, we'll release it, but we don't want to compromise sources and methods. There was no evidence. Here is Barack Obama, September of 2018, 2 months before the midterm elections, and this is what Obama was saying. Listen.
System as a cudgel to punish our political opponents. And the closer that we get to Election Day, the more those invested in the politics of fear and division will do anything to hang on to their recent gains. They want to keep us divided and keep us angry and keep us cynical because that helps them maintain the status quo and keep their power and keep their privilege. In the end, the threat to our democracy doesn't just come from Donald Trump or the current batch of Republicans in Congress or the Koch brothers and their lobbyists or too much compromise from Democrats or Russian hacking.
George Soros.
The biggest threat to our democracy is indifference.
Was that a full 2 minutes?
They're undermining our alliances.
Here we go. I don't think I started.
Posing up to Russia.
Here it is.
What happened to the Republican Party?
What happened to the Republican Party?
Its central organizing principle in foreign policy was the fight against communism, and now they're cozying up to the former head of the KGB.
That's what I wanted to play.
Yeah.
And now they're cozying up the former head of the KGB. So Obama becomes the Red Scare, and yet in 2012, I have to make this juxtaposition.
Governor Romney, I'm glad that you recognize that Al-Qaeda is a threat. Because a few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia. Not Al-Qaeda, you said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
So that guy goes on to be like, Russians hacked our elections and, Vladimir Putin, KGB, Soviet Union. I mean, come on. It's just too much.
Because nobody in their right mind, even far left liberal lunatic vagina hat wearing leftists would say that they would believe that Trump was cozying up to ISIS. Mm-hmm. Like there's nobody in the way either. He couldn't draw that one, but maybe Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
Maybe we can. Oh yeah. We're gonna put him on that same plane there. Like they just want to be both dictators. All of that stuff. I am not gonna sit here and defend Vladimir Putin. I said this yesterday as well. I'm not gonna sit here and defend him because I believe that he's done some truly terrible things. But I've also believe that heads of state always do that, as you said yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay. But he is not nearly the villain that he is made out to be. He is not Adolf Hitler.
No,
he's not.
No, that's what they want. They
want us to
They
believe
want him
that.
to believe that he's not going to stop in Ukraine. He's going to go. He's going to go into Poland. He's going to invade. It's everything's got to be framed. Everything's got to be framed through World War II.
It's all about
right.
puppeteering.
Nothing gets framed from the American Revolution. Mm-hmm. Everything is framed with World War II, and that's how we have to analyze everything in the world. And it's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so shifting gears, Rob. I know you're a big fan of Stephen Colbert.
I love him. He's my favorite.
Yeah.
I got some unfortunate news this week about him.
Well, Stephen Colbert has responded to him being fired with "Go F yourself."
Okay, that's classy.
Yeah. Axios, this liberal rag. This is how they're framing
Axios.
it.
How is Axios still? Oh,
I don't know. So in his first show since CBS announced it would end the program, I'm pretty sure I read it cost $100 million. That show cost $100 million, and they're losing $40
million. The reports are that they're trying to sell. CBS is trying to sell, or Paramount. Paramount is the head of company. I guess they're trying to sell right now. There's a merger / acquisition, whatever.
Yeah, Skydance Paramount, right? Isn't this it right here? Oracle negotiates a $100 million cloud deal with Skydance Paramount. Is that one of them?
I'm not sure. Okay. Skydance has been mentioned in all of that. I have not followed that closely. I just know that they're trying to trim the fat, which is why they settled the lawsuit with Trump so quickly. Because those things normally last. Everybody's like, well, that's happened really quickly, but those things normally last years. A lawsuit like that would have spanned Trump's first 2-3 years of his presidency before they finally settled it. So they settled it because they're trying to sell. And then Stephen Colbert, who is reportedly losing $40 million, he gets paid $15 million a year. And it's reportedly losing $40 million a year due to sponsors and all of that stuff. But he does not shy away. I'll give him a little bit of credit. He does not shy away from the fact that his show caters to leftists. He even said it after Trump won re-election here recently last November. The video clip showed him saying, hey, how are you doing? Okay. My guess is if you're watching this show, you're not doing well. So he's acknowledging that his audience is left. Yeah. Right? Okay. Well, then what are they saying now? Well, the reason that he was canceled is because he just spoke out against that settlement. That Trump just even gave an update to today that it's not 16 million. With all the goodies that they're adding, it's over 36 million. Right? So they cancel Stephen Colbert, and everybody's up in arms and like, this is censorship. And I'm like, it's the same damn argument that we used for the WNBA.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're losing money.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, it's funny, though. This is their new conspiracy theory, though. It's they're now worried about censorship, and they're claiming that this was somehow some sort of under-the-table Trump ask. Like, if you want to settle with me, you're going to fire Stephen Colbert. Yeah. Which I don't believe at all. But somebody named Charlemagne, I won't use his full name because I don't
think it's stupid.
I don't really. But this is how the left is spinning it.
Well, I want to say this real quickly before you put Charlemagne up there. Have you ever seen him when he has a rightist, somebody on the right, a far right?
I really don't watch other than like clips like this.
There's little clips of that. Now he holds his ground a little bit, but he is so much softer than this BS. That he's done right.
He's
here.
like affable.
Yeah, like he accommodates who's in there. Now he still has his beliefs, and he'll still go at you. He's a leftist. Like there's no doubt about it. And he's friends, like actual real life friends with Kamala Harris.
Ah, okay. Yes. All right. So this could be challenging. This could be channeling Kamala. But this is what the left is going to do with this story.
Let's call it what it is. Paramount is looking for FCC approval for its Skydance merger. Trump can block that if he wants to. So canceling Colbert is an obvious move to appease Donald Trump. And I need to tell y'all something.
It's in his mind it's obvious, but it's actually it's quite a jump. It's quite a leap. Actually,
I would say it's obvious. The counterpoint to his point is obvious.
Yeah, they're losing $40 million a year. Yeah, so it's kind of wild though that it is such a leap, and it's wild that I'm calling a leftist a conspiracy theorist because I know that's what I don't think I've ever even they haven't really. If for Trump to do that, that would just open his administration up for so much hurt because there would eventually be a paper trail. And
oh my gosh,
there's just no. I mean,
that's so stupid.
If you don't think we are under a regime with an authoritarian strategy, then you are bugging. This is textbook authoritarian rule. Target your critic, centralize power in a few hands, intimidate through punishment or removal.
Yeah, he is reading.
And you know what that usually does? Shuts people the F up. Okay, tightens control over public discourse, sends a message to all media outlets that criticism of Trump could cost you access, approval, editorial control, all your job.
Criticism.
This is what authoritarian regimes do. They weaponize legal systems to punish dissent and control messaging.
This is what authoritarian regimes do. They weaponize legal systems. You know, like they did to the father who prayed outside of an abortion clinic.
Oh, yes.
That was all in reaction to Roe versus Wade being overturned.
Yeah.
All of that was.
I mean, was Donald Trump arrested?
Oh, yeah, he was. There's a mugshot, pretty famous mugshot.
Yeah. So, who's the authoritarian?
He was also shot. Under a Secret Service watch that was under the Biden administration.
Woefully mishandled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So, maybe you just... What is the expression? Why don't you just, Clarice says it to Hannibal Lecter. He's like, you see a lot, doctor, okay? But do you have enough strength to turn that mirror on yourself? Maybe you're afraid to.
Yeah.
Like, Charlemagne, turn that mirror. If you just take all of the words that you just said, anytime it's Republican, anytime it's Trump or whatever, just replace it with your own side and see if it fits. And I guarantee you, if you were an objective person who looked at things logically, you would say it fits way more than his version.
Absolutely. 100%. Let's see. One thing we haven't talked about is Joe Biden's doctors pleading the fifth. We haven't talked about Joe Biden's doctors pleading the fifth, but some people think it sounded like Dave Chappelle.
The fifth. No, but I can tell you that I plead the fifth. I said there are so many amendments in the Constitution of the United States of America. I can only choose one. I plead the fifth.
All right, I don't want to get a who knows, probably get some copyright strike on that. But yeah, that's interesting. We really haven't talked about this. This is the auto pen administration coming to light. It's a huge scandal, that he wasn't of sound mind. Once you get if you get the doctors to admit, this guy was crazy and we were lying, it makes them complicit in the people who were actually signing using the auto pen.
I really, really like one of the main questions is: did you ever knowingly lie about Joe Biden's health conditions to the public to make him appear more cogent or whatever? I can't remember exactly how it was put, but it was a simple question.
Yeah,
like if you're an honest doctor there's no need to plead the fifth. There's no need to plead the fifth because what you did is you examined him. Did you ever knowingly lie? Did you ever knowingly lie? Yes or freaking no?
I plead the fifth.
I plead the fifth. Plead the fifth. Okay, so you're a doctor who just knowingly lied about what we all saw. That's why you're pleading the fifth, because we all saw it. You can't sit there and say, no, I never lied. I never lied. He seemed totally fine. He seemed totally with it. To me.
Yeah.
Okay. Please let this play for all of your current patients.
Yeah.
Because they don't need to go see you.
Yeah.
Because you don't see much.
That man
apparently.
was a vegetable.
He was a vegetable.
On a good day.
On a good day. You're absolutely right. And what did old Hunter Biden, who's apparently going to run for president in 2028, Did you see that video?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I forgot to pull it for today's show.
That's totally fine,
talked
man.
about it
I don't want to
bit.
listen to this loser. But anyway, he said, he just said, oh, yeah, they got him, flying all over the place. And then they gave him Ambien to sleep. And you're like, okay, number one, he was in Delaware for 7 days. Or no, was it 10 days prior to the
disastrous
debate? Yeah, the disastrous debate. It was at least 7 days. It was either 7 or 10 days. But anyway, he was there practicing. And I'm like, Trump was literally at a rally 5 minutes before this debate. You know what I mean? Like, he's not sitting there practicing. And so they're trying to say that, Hunter Biden was trying to say, oh, he was exhausted. He was 80 years old, and they were giving him Ambien. And I'm like, Ambien is taken at night, right before you go to bed, to help you sleep. Mm-hmm. I was on Ambien briefly, and my wife said, "You talking crazy talk. You're gonna have to get off. You're gonna have to because I've got insomnia." And she's like, "You're gonna have to figure something else out." Well, but I was fine by the next morning. You sleep the Ambien off. It's not like you're, Did they give him Ambien right before the debate? Well, then I would believe that Hunter Biden is telling the truth. And that's a strong statement.
Oh, that's like a whole different rabbit trail there.
Well, it is.
So intentionally drugging the president to make him, so that you can get him out of there.
That would be hard for me to believe. I think that they knew
to be on Ambien his entire presidency.
I think that they knew they had to hype him up for the State of the Union. We all saw a different Biden during that State of Union, right?
I'm not even sure that was Biden.
I'm not either. You wonder if it's AI, but it was like, I'm all hopped up on Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
It was straight up Ricky Bobby's son. But at the same time, that same hyping up, they could have done for the debate. Whatever drugs they put him on, whatever 5-hour energies that he drank a gallon of, whatever. They could have done that, but they didn't. I think it was, and we can talk about this on a different show where we literally just talk about that, what are you going to call it? The coup. It was a coup. I mean, it was a coup to get him out because they knew that the slaughtering would happen. They knew that he was going to lose his presidency, but they were worried about the downline.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention, but this was obviously before Trump was shot, but it was also a rematch, and the country was terrible. The country was in a terrible place.
Sure.
On so many fronts, and people were rejecting the woke sex religion of the left and everything else. It was a disaster. Their only chance was to get Kamala Harris was just seen as, okay, she's a minority, we can play the race card, and then we'll get some old white guy and hopefully pull off some independence.
When they pushed him out, though, Paul, I don't think that the plan was Kamala. I really don't. I think that they were trying to do it early enough so that there could be a little bit of a mini primary, right? And I believe truly that that's why they had this debate, was it in June?
Yeah,
or
June.
Or July or something like that. It was so early that they thought, all right, let's get him out of there, and then let's see if Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania jumps in, right? Tim Walz might have jumped in as a presidential candidate at that time. Gavin Newsom may have,
I've become good friends with school shooters.
Yeah, dude. I had to. There's a Saturday Night Live where when he says he says that, Maya Rudolph, who does a great Kamala Harris, by the way, when she was leading up to that, it was like, oh my, she just starts slamming the wine, because whatever.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like they had that so early on, I don't believe that Kamala was the plan. Yeah. I believe that it was Kamala was forcing the issue. She rallied the troops and got verbal. What is the word? The electors, right? She got those verbal people to say, "Hey, I'm going to support you," rather than and so it's kicking Joe Biden, because if she had not been a black woman, I don't know that she would have been selected at all.
Yeah,
if she had.
Oh no, 100%. Yeah, I completely agree with that.
It would. I don't think that if she was a white man, I don't think that she would have been able to rally the troops the way that she did. Yeah. I think that they were like, oh yeah, I guess I'll support you.
First woman and black female president.
Female black. Yeah. The lowest approval rating for a vice president ever. Yeah, I'll go ahead and support you.
Oh, it's incredible. Okay, changing gears here as we kind of wind things down, but actually this is a really interesting story that we have for you here. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent went on, I guess, is this, I don't know if this is Maria Bartiromo. This may have been on Sunday. But anyway, talking about the tariffs, $100 billion in tariff revenue so far, are on track for $300 billion in revenue this year. Listen.
Secretary, how much revenue have you raised so far from tariffs? I know that we saw a budget surplus in the Treasury in the month of June. Last time we saw a budget surplus was President Trump's first term. Is that largely because of the tariff revenue, and how much have you raised so far this year?
Well, we're closing in on $100 billion. I think we could annualize at $300 billion. So a way to think about that is that's roughly 1% of our U.S. $30 trillion GDP. So that is a big number, Maria, and we didn't get any credit for that in the CBO scoring. I don't agree with the CBO scoring, but CBO scoring did say that there's a chance over the 10-year window we could take in $2.8 trillion of tariff revenue. And the great thing about the June number was not only was it an increase in tariff revenue, we brought down expenses. So it was a great combination: lower expenses, higher revenues, and that's how we are going to get this budget mess that we were left.
It's really incredible to even hear somebody say,
"Sure,
we want lower expenditures, and we are actually trying to fix this problem." I mean, it's a total 180 from.
It's been forever since we heard that.
Yeah, which you actually heard that.
I mean, the last person that tried to balance the budget, and he did correctly. He actually did very late in his presidency, was Bill Clinton.
Yeah, and the Republican critique of that was always like he borrowed it, or he did some funny money with Social Security Trust Fund, but I don't even know if that's true. Like,
I don't know either.
I'm just remembering this is like,
Yeah.
But yes, he balanced the budget.
But the $300 tax break that we got from George W. Bush whenever he came into office, that everybody got $300. I was just like, okay, well, that's nice, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, if we had a balanced budget, you just screwed it over.
Well, and you know, with John Solomon's reporting interview of Trump last week, you know what got lost in the kerfuffle over the Epstein stuff was that Trump once again saying the IRS could become the ERS, external revenue service, and so it's fundamental. These tariffs are. Everybody says they won't work. It's not everybody says they won't work, but all of the conventional intelligentsia, they say, oh, this won't work. It's really exciting to me because I want to see if he can actually revolutionize the way we fund our government, or the illusion of funding our government, I guess, because it really, you look at the free marketeers. I'm a free marketer, but what does that really mean practically for the American people? According to these Republicans that have been in charge, it's meant the middle class is shrinking and wages have decreased.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can blame that on the open border legal immigration, but they're the Koch brothers themselves, they like it. They like the open border. They like the cheap labor and everything else. So this really is with a secure border combined with trying to bring back manufacturing, combined with trying to get fair trade, not free trade. Mm-hmm. We'll see what happens. It hasn't been tried in 100 years.
When you think about what another country has to have to survive, in terms of trade, what does Singapore, the Philippines, Japan, all of these things, what do these countries have to survive? A good relationship with the United States. Mm-hmm. They have to have, the United States has to be a trading partner for them because we are by far the world's largest economy, and we are doing it with 330 million people versus, what is the population of China? Is it 2 billion or something like that, right? So we're doing it with all of this because we spend money. There's a lot of money here in the United States.
It's a market they want access to.
Yeah, so I totally understand Trump's motivation. It's got the sense motivation here, like, hey, let's let the other countries pay for our country because we are spending this money. We are spending this money to support these other countries, so they need to be paying us. Tariffs totally make sense. Now, I'm not what's the word? I'm not in the know enough on tariffs to know if that could ever offset. If we could bring in enough money with tariffs, say an external revenue service, if we could ever bring in enough to not only eliminate all of our federal income tax here, but also start paying down this $38 trillion that we have in debt, because I think both of those things would have to happen.
No, I think you're exactly right. But let's actually talk about whether corporations have the best interests of Americans at heart, or are they just anti-Trump and they want the Democrats to impeach him if they take the House next year. Headline, Fox News, retailers caught red-handed using Trump's tariffs as cover for price gouging. Poll shows 52% of voters agree with President Trump that corporations should bear the burden of tariff-related costs. In recent weeks, headlines have been filled with warnings from major retailers about impending price hikes due to tariffs reinstated by Donald Trump. Big box stores like Walmart and Target have been quick to suggest that tariffs on imported goods, particularly from China, have left them with no choice but to raise prices for American families. Let's be clear, these decisions are more about raising profit margins and going against Trump's agenda. Mm-hmm. Interestingly enough, if we go to the Twitter post that initially had it, we have MAGA Jersey Girl. Walmart is claiming that they raised their prices due to tariffs. After a review, it's been proven that Walmart raised prices on items that were not tariffed at all.
At all.
Not tariffed at all.
Yeah, like bread. Why? I mean, are we importing our bread from China? Mm-hmm. Pretty dang sure it's coming from the Wonder Bread company down the street.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't even know, I think there's more of this is going to continue when you're hiking prices, and there's a list somewhere, and I can't find it. I had the actual list here comparatively of how much they've raised the prices, and it's absolutely insane how much they've actually hiked this stuff.
On American companies that rely, so like Frito-Lay, I mean, it's showing, Frito-Lay is an American company. We've got one of the few Frito-Lay manufacturing places here in Jonesboro, Arkansas. They actually cook the chips here. Yep, not every Frito-Lay actually cooks the chips. And it's like, okay, well then why? I mean, our tariffs, I mean, maybe they're getting supplies from Frito-Lay, but that's not Walmart.
Yeah.
That's not Walmart. And Walmart is, to me, it's just like, and we saw this crap all the time in the 2000s, Paul, if you'll remember when George W. Bush was in office. who owned oil stocks, and we had $4 a gallon for the first time there, which was with George W. Bush. And what did we see? Every time there was flooding, there was any sort of natural disaster, earthquake, hurricane, anything, an oil refinery was always hit.
Yeah.
It's amazing how it always did. There's like gas prices went through the roof. We just saw this huge surge in price, and it's it's because of that is that hurricane down there. That's what it was. And you're just like, okay, well, because the prices went up literally the next day, and if that is like affecting the supply or whatever, and it's like, okay, it's just like they say about Democrats: never let a natural disaster or a negative situation, never let a crisis go to waste. And this is what Walmart is doing.
Well, and it's others too. And so the real question is, these giant corporations, they hate Trump way more than they love the American people, because that's the only.
They're rooting for him to fail.
That's where I'm at. I think people might say, well, that's jumping to conclusions. You don't know. Maybe there are some other economic factors. Listen, I'm tired of pretending like I was born yesterday, and with everything that we're seeing right now, all of the corruption, the line between corporations and government, very thin. The line between the intel oligarchy and corporations, pretty much.
We're closer. We're closer to the truth than we've ever been, Paul.
Yeah, this is not like a mom and pop shop. We're talking about a giant worldwide mega corporation.
Yep.
And they like globalism. They want globalism. They're against nationalism. That alone means punish the people, make them think it's Trump's fault, make them think it's the tariffs' fault, because we got to get this guy out in 2026.
Yeah, well, we got to make him basically a lame duck in 2026 for the last 2 years, and then we've got to kill any momentum that J.D. Vance, which is a younger version of Trump, a younger, more eloquent version of Trump. Who did you see that poll recently? He is like the overwhelming favorite.
Oh yeah,
and then the overwhelming favorite for the Democrats. What was it? Who was it? AOC or was it?
I don't know.
I can't remember. But they were so small. Like Kamala Harris was 4. She was polling at 4, which was the same percentage that Donald Trump was polling at, and he can't run again.
That's great. That's fantastic. Well, that's basically all the time that we have. Yeah, but to your point on J.D. Vance, like really, I'm excited about his political. I think he's more of a nationalist than even Trump is.
Yeah.
When his comments on Ordo Amoris, the order of loves. You got to love your family. Your city, your county, your state, your people. There's an order of loves. It's not sinful to. It's not sinful for me to love my wife way more than I love some random woman off the street. That's natural. That's the order of Amoris.
It'll be really cool if J.D. Vance were to win, that you would see Donald Trump as an advisor to him going forward.
Well, Steve Bannon says they want to find a way to make him run for a third time.
Yeah,
I know, but the meltdown would be
glorious.
Oh my gosh,
man,
it would be. From a podcast news standpoint, we'd have stuff to talk about for days if that were to happen.
Be Epstein's on steroids.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it, sir.
My pleasure as always, Paul. Glad to be here.
We'll be back here tomorrow. Wishing everybody a happy rest of your Tuesday. This is the Paul Harrell program. Don't forget to follow us over on X at Paul Talk Show. As we're just starting that account, my account is at Real Paul Harrell, Rob Spencer at Rob Spencer 43, and then paultalkshow.substack if you want to become a supporter of the show, and you'll get a free copy of my game, Left Wing Will, and the Red Pill. We will see you guys tomorrow. Be safe.